Daniel was 71. Last month, he attended his granddaughter's school event. Parents everywhere. Conversations buzzing. He stood there, well-dressed, composed, waiting for someone to acknowledge him. No one did. People looked through him. Not rude, just uninterested. On the drive home, he said something quietly. Maybe I've reached that age where you stop mattering. But a week later, something small changed. And suddenly, people started noticing him again. Here's what most men never hear. You don't become invisible because of age. You become invisible because of one silent habit that builds over time. And today, I'll show you 5 simple shifts that reverse it almost immediately. No trends, no trying to be younger. Just subtle changes that restore presence, respect, and attention. Let me ask you something. When was the last time someone looked at you with interest instead of just politeness? Stay with me, because one of these, most men ignore for years. Daniel noticed something one afternoon at a hardware store. He asked an employee for help. His voice was soft, almost hesitant. The young man barely listened, gave a quick answer, walked away. It didn't feel good, not disrespectful, just dismissive. And that's the problem. Over time, many men start lowering their presence without realizing it. The voice gets quieter. The tone becomes uncertain. Sentences trail off. The world reads that instantly. So Daniel tried something simple. Next time, he spoke clearly. "Excuse me, where are your power drills?" Same place. Different response. The employee stopped, turned fully. "Right this way, sir." Nothing dramatic changed, except one thing: clarity. And respect followed it. Think about this for a second. When you speak, do people lock in, or do they drift away? Now here's something even more subtle. At a neighborhood barbecue, Daniel wore what he always wore. Loose shirt, old sneakers, comfortable but forgettable. Nearby, another man around his age stood talking to a small group. There was nothing flashy about him, but something was different. His shirt fit well. His shoes were clean. Everything looked intentional. People gathered around him. Not because he was louder, because he signaled presence. That's when it clicked. Clothing isn't about fashion, it's about communication. So Daniel changed just one thing the next weekend: his shoes. That's it. And someone said something unexpected. "Looking sharp today." A small comment, but it stayed with him, because it had been a long time since anyone noticed. Let me ask you, have you slowly stopped paying attention to how you present yourself? Not out of neglect, but just because it stopped feeling important. Now here's where things get deeper. At a family dinner, conversations moved quickly. Everyone talking over each other. Daniel sat there, listening, waiting for a moment to speak. That moment never came, so he stayed quiet, and eventually unnoticed. This happens more than most men realize. Waiting to be included often leads to being overlooked. Not because people don't value you, but because they're not paying attention. So Daniel changed one small behavior. Next time, he leaned forward slightly and said, "Can I add something to that?" Simple, calm, direct. The table paused. They listened. And just like that, he was part of the conversation again. Presence isn't about being loud. It's about stepping in at the right moment. Now, consider this. Are you waiting to be invited into conversations? Or are you naturally stepping into them? Because what you do there changes everything. A few days later, something even more subtle happened. Daniel was standing in line at the bank, relaxed, quiet, just observing. But something felt off. People kept a slight distance. No interaction, nothing. He caught his reflection for a moment. Neutral face. Serious expression, not unfriendly, but not open either. And that's when he realized, sometimes the face tells a story you don't mean to tell. So he made a small adjustment. Nothing forced, just a slight softness, a calm, approachable expression. When he reached the counter, he gave a small nod. The teller smiled first. "Good afternoon, sir." That moment was different. Not big, but noticeable. Because people respond to what they feel from you instantly. And most men never adjust this. But here's the real turning point. The one that changed everything. Daniel sat at home one evening and thought about it. All these moments, all these small shifts, and then it hit him. He hadn't just been ignored, he had slowly started stepping back. Speaking less, engaging less, expecting less, without realizing it. And when you do that, the world meets you there, with less. That's the habit, not age, not appearance. Withdrawal. So he made one rule. Just one. One moment of presence per day. Nothing complicated. One conversation, one comment. One simple interaction. Day 1, a short exchange at a store. Day 2, a comment during a walk. Day 3, a conversation at a gathering. Small steps, but consistent. And something began to shift. People responded differently. They acknowledged him, engaged with him. Not dramatically, but steadily. He felt it. That quiet return of presence. That sense of being seen again. And that changes something inside a man. Here's the truth most people miss. Invisibility doesn't happen all at once. It builds quietly. Through small habits. And the good news is, it can be reversed the same way. Not by becoming someone else. Not by chasing attention. But by showing up again. With clarity, with intention, with presence. If you want to age with confidence, respect, and quiet authority, subscribe. Because this isn't about looking younger. It's about being recognized again. And if this made you think, wait until you see how small daily habits shape the way people treat you. Because sometimes the difference between being overlooked and being respected is just one small shift, repeated every day.